the next generation. In today's video, we're gonna be teaching you how to use another tool. What tool are we gonna teach them about today?
The electric sander. In case you're wondering, why can't I just use sandpaper? Why do I need an electric sander?
Well, why?
Basically an electric sander is like a fast moving sandpaper. So you're not putting as much work or elbow grease into it as you would be with just regular sandpaper.
I must say, I really like any tool that makes my work easier. So if you get tired of hand sanding, we do recommend the electric sander. We like to work smarter, not harder.
So the sander that we have is a Black & Decker mouse sander. We like this one specifically because it has a point at the end.
Yes.
So you're able to get into all of the small crevices and detailed sanding, whereas other sanders you may not be able to. We're gonna link the sander and the accessories that we talk about in this video down below. So
go check them out.
Another thing that we love about this sander are the grips on it. So you can either hold it at the bottom here. I really like holding it from the top because I feel like I have more control. Either way, there's a grip on both sides, so it's pretty comfortable when sanding.
All right, so like we said, this is an electric sander. It has a plug, it's not battery operated. So when you plug it in, you might think, oh, it's gonna start sanding. Nope. Because we got this power switch here, so as long as it's in the off position, which is down, it's not gonna run. So you have control at the unit itself. I love that. That's great.
There's no safety or anything, I guess because a sander is safe.
Yeah.
And don't be scared of an electric sander. Honestly, I was at first because it's really loud and intimidating when you first use it, but I have gone crazy with the sander and hit my hand multiple times and I haven't hurt myself, so.
All it does is it vibrates. It allows the sander to move across the wood, but it's not going to sand your skin off if you touch the bottom because of that vibration. So don't be scared.
Like
Have at it.
But we do recommend some protective gear when you are using a sander, because there's lots of sawdust that flies around when you're using it, and it's also super loud, like I mentioned. So I do recommend at least wearing eyewear and earwear because it's loud and there's sawdust. It may end up in your eyes. We like to wear some kind of mask because you don't want to be inhaling sawdust.
No.
Not too good on the lungs.
No, not at all. And a lot of sanders come with this guy here, which you're probably wondering, what is this? Well, guess what? It collects the dust.
Not all of it.
It doesn't collect all of it. Right, exactly. So we do recommend a mask. In addition, even if you have a dust collector, because dust does tend to slip out of here and it's gonna get in your mouth, it's gonna get in your nose, wear the mask. And so this is the dust collector. Basically what you do is you just you open it. Okay, and all your dust gets collected in there. Notice there is a filter on the dust collector. I do recommend changing this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pop this back on.
So that's basically the entire sander unit itself. Pretty simple and basic. So now we're gonna go over the different types of sandpaper that you can get for it and how to change it and all that good stuff.
So the bottom of this sander has a Velcro attachment, and the way you attach the sandpaper is obviously Velcro, and they're pre-cut. You can get them in a circular form or a triangular form. It's super easy. And you're probably wondering what these holes are for. Well, guess what? This sander has a dust collector trap. And what happens is when you're sanding, the sawdust goes into the holes and into the dust collector trap. It works great for the most part.
You just take your sandpaper and attach it to the Velcro, and you're ready to sand.
That was
easy. The cool part is you can pull it on and off as many times as you want, and it's not like it's going to lose its
That's true.
stickiness because it's Velcro.
There are multiple different grits of sandpaper.
And the grit is the roughness of the sandpaper. So the lower the grit, the rougher the sandpaper.
That's correct.
The higher the grit, the finer the sandpaper. So if you're trying to get stain off of something or get a super rough surface sanded down, then you would use a lower grit, whereas if you're finishing off a project or just trying to get it smooth, then you would use a higher grit. So we've sanded with a lower grit sandpaper before, so really rough sandpaper, and it sometimes will leave circles or lines on your wood. So the way to get rid of that is to use your higher grit. It's basically like a finishing or even a polishing. That's what I like to think of it as.
Nice.
But it doesn't leave like a clear finish like a polished would. It just gets it perfectly baby bottom smooth.
Yes.
So we use our sander with basically every woodworking project because
Yes,
when you
we do.
cut wood, sometimes there's a rough edge from your saw. So we'll just go over it with the sander. It takes like 2 seconds because it's an electric sander.
Yep.
And you're ready to go.
Sand with the grain, no matter what grit you're using, and it'll just have a better result and a better finish.
If you're going to paint or stain next, then we would recommend using a Tack Cloth because this is going to pick up all of the dust off of your wood and get it nice and ready for your paint or stain. So now we're gonna show you guys the sander in action. We're gonna bring it outside because I don't want sawdust all over, and we just talked about this. It makes a mess, okay?
So step 1, we're gonna plug in the sander. Make sure the switch is off before you plug it in. The next step is choose your grit and apply that sandpaper to the sander. With Velcro, obviously.
Then we're gonna put on all our protective gear, switch on our sander, and begin sanding. And you wanna make sure you're not putting too much force or pressure on your sander when sanding. Because it's doing the work for you, you're really just there to guide the sander. Take our advice because I used to push the crap out of it before I discovered the different grits, and that's why our sander's all burnt out.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. You used to put pressure?
Yeah.
And with hand sanding with an electric sander. Don't sand with smooth sandpaper. That's how you use a sander. I hope you pick one up. Get out there, cut some wood, sand that wood, build yourself a DIY.
Let us know what tool that you want to see next. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye guys.